Who am I here with today? Can you just introduce yourself?
So, my name is Nicci Brighten, and I am the producer of The Dead of Winter.
Okay, so just tell us briefly about how you ended up involved in the project.
So this is quite a fun one actually, because I was at Fight Fest last year with, 2 years ago now actually, 2022, with a film called Eric, which actually also screened here at Romford, and it's about a cute but deadly Pomeranian. And Stephen was in the audience and he saw the film, he needed a producer for The Dead of Winter, and he approached me after the screening and we got talking, he pitched it to me, and the rest was history. We both aligned with the concept. He sent me the script, the pitch deck. I loved it. I love the fact that it's a cautionary tale and that it's a psychological horror. And then, we just teamed up and here we are today.
So speaking about sort of the inspiration, very obviously A Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens. Have you spoken to the director about it since, or at least during the production, how the inspiration came about?
Yeah, certainly. Stephen is very well read. He's a journalist. He loves ghost stories. He loves traditional ghost stories. So some of the inspirations were obviously Charles Dickens, M.R. James. Obviously, you can see that it comes across in the Dickensian themes that present itself in the film. That was definitely a thread that he wanted to bring forth with the creative vision, and also with it being a cautionary tale, like a moral tale. So, he wanted to really bring that across. And then there was a few moments of kind of lightheartedness, as you'll see in the film as well. So it's not completely bleak, and it feels more quite real. That was definitely something from the very onset that he said to me that he wanted to bring forth with the film itself.
It felt very much like its own story, sort of contained within more Charles Dickens themes. How do you think that was difficult to sort of capture its own it was very much its own thing within, obviously, the themes as well, like you mentioned. It was quite humorous at some points, and its own very simple sort of story within the theme of sort of like morality, and obviously, as the main character, he did appear as sort of a Scrooge in a way. So do you think it was easy to create the story within, or keeping true to the themes?
I think so, yes. I mean, from the beginning, we really felt that we wanted to dub this as a classic Christmas ghost story for modern times. So although it is inspired by classic ghost stories like the Moral Tales of Dickens, we wanted it to feel very modern, and that it could happen to anyone, really. It could come full circle. And that image at the end of the film, when I read the script, I found it really powerful, because I felt like, you could go from being a rough sleeper to being in the same situation. And, I loved that it kind of came full circle. So in terms of the way that we approached it, I feel that we kept true to those inspirations, but we also made it feel very, very timeless, but also very modern. The glass house, that middle-class privilege, so it felt very, very contemporary as well.
It was very much a sort of a situation that most people can relate to.
Definitely. I think we've all been in situations where we've seen rough sleepers on the street, or we've seen people asking for help, and very often you sort of like, I don't, or contact us, there's no change, and we sort of sometimes go on our merry way. I mean, I've got a daughter actually. I was trying to teach her, to maybe buy them a sandwich or give water or something like that, but there's definitely a conflict there for some people who are in that situation, and that's kind of what we wanted to bring forth, is that it's not necessarily that the figure is like an avenging angel. It's also, is it his own guilty conscience? And that's something I think that we can all relate to, as you say.
Yeah, very much. So there was definitely several interpretations of sort of who the rough sleeper ended up being, whether that was his conscience or it was he did in fact die and that was his ghost. Yeah. But so what do you feel like, so you mentioned the morality, what do you think the biggest takeaway was, what you wanted the audience to be for that film?
To feel that anyone could be in that position, needing help. You don't necessarily have to be a rough sleeper or down in your luck. I mean, we're still in a cost of living crisis, and we felt like with this story, a lot of people can relate to those themes of privilege, of homelessness, you know. So I think it was really to be able to see it from the other side, and that kind of no one's safe really. So that's really what we want to like people to take away from that. Yeah.
Okay. So, final question. Any more productions from you upcoming in the future? Maybe the next Romford Film Festival?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I've been here 2 years now in a row, so it'd be great to get the trio and beyond. So yeah, I've got a few films in the pipeline, some proof of concepts for features, still kind of around the genre kind of blending. I've got one that's like a sci-fi dramedy, which is quite cool. That's around sort of like motherhood and surrogacy. And then there's another one which is a Eurasian identity road trip dark comedy. So I'm kind of moving more into comedy again. This one was more bleak. Eric was quite fun with dark comedy. So I'm kind of going back to my dark comedy roots. But I do love genre. I love horror, and I love telling a story in a different way. And something that has some kind of a social impact is important to me and to Super White Pictures as well.
Okay, so definitely watch this space.
For sure.
Are we doing questions from the audience?
Does anyone have any questions for Nicci about Dead of Winter? Yeah? Okay, hang on.
Hi.
My question is around the total budget of the film, including like what camera did you use for the filming?
So the budget for the film and the camera, is that right? Sorry, I couldn't quite hear.
Both.
Okay, great. So budget-wise, we were around 30k, and that's because we had to spend a lot on lighting. Obviously, the locations, that was an expense. The huge glass house, and then we had a lot of equipment. We used the Sony Venice because it works really well in low light at night, and we were shooting. It was all night shoots, so we sort of finished most nights around 3-4 o'clock in the morning. So we needed something that could really deliver visually, and we worked with Sunbelt Rentals and Panelux for that. We had these big, huge like lighting rigs to create the moonlight effect and just get the lighting that our cinematographer wanted for the shots. You'll see in the kitchen there's that beautiful streak of moonlight coming across. And so, you know, a lot of that went on our kit and obviously locations, and then obviously like making sure our crew were well paid and, you know, comfortable. We put them up in, you know, hotels and things like that. So yeah, it was quite an expensive short, but we had backing from, you know, First Flights and other kind of entities which helped with that.
Okay, so like how many days did the shoot go on for?
So we shot for 3 days, 3 night shoots. And we had a location move as well. We tried to limit that because we obviously there was the wood scenes as well. So that technically would have been like 3 separate locations. But what we did to save on budget, we actually got a house that had woods out the back. So we then just got it down to 2. So then we just had one location move, which helped keep costs down.
Ooh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? One over right in the back. Oh, one here.
You mentioned about social impact, and it would be nice if you could elaborate on
Social impact, yeah.
social impact in general, like showcasing films to audience in a film festival, or just power of films in terms of social impact.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I think film is such a powerful medium because with the storytelling element and, you know, the fact that you can grab audiences and you can actually put messages across that in maybe other ways aren't as potent and powerful. So for me personally, and with Super White Pictures, the production company, I just feel it's really important to not just entertain and educate, but also like enlighten minds and give people the opportunity to sort of walk in that character's shoes and present different perspectives, I guess, is the best way to describe it, that may be beyond your ken, your understanding of the world. So I think in terms of audiences, social impact films, they respond very well to them if it's not kind of shoved down their throat and it's done in a way that the storytelling seems authentic. I definitely feel that is an important factor. So you don't just want to try and shoehorn a social issue into a story. It's got to it's got to feel like it's authentically part of that story and giving voice to that particular issue. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Next one coming up.
What would you say is the most difficult part about being a producer?
Sorry, say that again.
What's the most difficult part about being a producer?
Oh my gosh, it's a little bit like herding cats. That's what I'd say. You have to have a really big picture view of everything. So you've got to spin a lot of plates. I know I'm using a lot of like cliched terms here, but it is literally like that. You've got to have your eye on the ball with so many things. Financing, insurance. I mean, obviously you've got your line producer and you've got your, UPM and things like that doing a lot of the daily stuff. But as a kind of overarching producer, you need to have your eye on the ball and make sure that you know what the big picture, you know that all the cogs are turning in parallel. So, because to make that happen at the right time and just line up everything in place so that it's ready for the shoot and that everyone is like happy, morale is high, especially when you're shooting like on a cold January, night shoot for 3 nights. You want to make sure everyone's happy, everyone's having a good time, and fortunately, we had that wonderful camaraderie with the team. So yeah, I would say that the biggest thing with a producer is to just have that big picture view so that you can keep your eye on the ball with everything and not drop it.
Okay, one last one from Chris.
What would you rather encounter, Eric or the homeless ghost?
That's a great question. Wow. I love Pomeranians because they're so cute, but I wouldn't want to be mauled. So, I mean, the ghost, he's pretty scary as well in his own way, but he's not aggressive. I mean, do you mean in terms of like the outcome? I mean, the outcomes are both not good.
If you saw one,
Oh, if I saw, well, I mean, if he's being cute, if he's being a cutie, then I'd go for the Pomeranian. But equally, on a dark night, like I wouldn't really want to come face to face with like a kind of a dark figure. So the Pom, Eric.
Okay.
And that's it.
Yes. Thank you for
Thank you.
coming. Brilliant to have your film shown. And you have any more films today, or at least for the rest of the festival?
No, that's it. But maybe next year. Let's see. Watch the
Hopefully.
space.
Right, definitely.
Thank you.
Big round of
Thank you.
applause for Nicci.